We're in one of the great sea changes of how work is created, how work is seen and consumed. The audience wants to participate in storytelling. That's interesting. That's exciting. What does that mean? I really think about the New Frontier Story Lab as that convergence of storytelling and technology. I'm Michelle Satter, and I'm the founding director of the feature film program at Sundance. We select projects and artists that we absolutely believe in and believe in the potential of their work. So we're embracing fiction, nonfiction, projects that are created for the web or created for a mobile app, but looking at it in terms of integrity of story and that they're thinking about engaging audience in meaningful ways.
Where we're seeing interactivity, technology, story, and character, and how they all fit together.
We talk about interactive narrative as though like a user being involved in the movement of a narrative is something new, right? But that was always true. Like if I'm reading a book, I have to turn the page to keep the book moving. That's an interaction. We designed those interactions to be transparent because we couldn't make them interesting. But now we're in an age where we can actually design interactions to be really powerful.
My name is Eli Horowitz, and I spent the last 8 or 10 years working at McSweeney's as an editor and designer of the books in the Quarterly. And so this new project came out of that experience, trying to use the level of care and attention and possibility we brought to the books, the physical objects, and think, what would that mean in a digital world? The way the silent history is constructed, it came out of a desire to think that these new devices should let us tell stories in new ways. Part of the story is told through these daily serializations. You get updates every day, about 5 pages, and that's kind of the main narrative backbone of the story. Then we have these things called field reports, which are site-specific events in the world of the story. To read those, you actually have to take your iPhone to the location, and if your GPS matches the location of the event, that allows you to read the text. Sometimes the location is shaping the action, but then it's also calling your attention to details. You could be in Grand Central Station 1,000 times and never notice, why is there that weird, gap between the wall and the floor? Once that kind of sneaks into the story, and then you look and you see there is that scratch in the floor. It's about like dragging someone out of the station, say, and they're trying not to go and they're holding, and then you look down on the floor and you see there's these scrapes in the marble, and I think it's almost like a thrilling or chilling experience, depending. It's definitely, when it works, it's really a new kind of experience.
Having been here for a few days talking about interactivity and new media and old media, I feel like Flight of the Conchords, we're kind of old media. Obviously we used YouTube, but we never took the show and used the internet as a way of telling the story, which is what a lot of people here are kind of exploring. There's an act here called Young Jake.
I made this video, put it on YouTube. I put it up, got 500 views. It's blowing up.
It's a persona, lives on the internet. It's a kind of mixtape. It's music, it's commentary on, on the artist's sort of relationship with audience. And, he's thinking about, art making in a really different way.
The song ain't been on for 1 minute. Haters thumbing down just to spite.
Well, one of the things I really look for in a great storyteller is someone who really is taking advantage of whatever medium that I'm intersecting the story with. So I think storytellers have to be aware of, what platforms and what technology are out there. They also have to be very aware of how the audience is using them. Technology should be an enabler of an experience in a story, and if it's really working, it's invisible.
The town of Pine Point is the most carefully planned and modern community north of the 60th parallel. There are schools for the children, a medical clinic, and a full range of...
Pine Point was the first place I ever went alone as a kid, and I was online one night looking at Pine Point and sort of what had happened to it, where it was now, and I stumbled upon Richard Cloutier's website, this really sort of lo-fi, crunchy website, and sort of through digging around I realized the town no longer existed. It had been taken off the map.
And he was telling me how weird it is to see the poplars sprouting up through the pavement.
It's the story about a guy who is trying to preserve the memory of this place using the internet, and us finding that website and being really drawn into this notion of how do we preserve memories in this way.
Once we had the written voice, we were able to have we think, a much more immersive experience. The voice was inside your head. We turned down the interactivity to sort of a minimal interface, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity for people to be distracted by clicking on unnecessary things. We scored the project, so we used conventions that films have used for a long time. So we leaned a lot on other forms of storytelling.
Beyond having an amazing character, I think what also makes a good story is an aesthetic that matches the story. I'm a huge fan of the goggles. Everything they make always feels so incredibly tactile. It makes it feel more like something that you can smell or taste or feel instead of being behind glass.
You know, we think that technology, as it gets more sophisticated, is going to try to be closer to us anyway. Whereas I think, you know, there's had to have been this separation just because it was a bit of a clunky interface, I think, between what we wanted to do and what the computers would allow us to do. And I think that gap is narrowing. And I think that you'll probably see more of that human stuff creeping into how we express ourselves digitally.
Good morning, Lauren. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thanks.
Good.
This is our busy Thursday. I would like to thank all the people of Pine Point for this support.
Going to a film and the single screen experience will continue to be important, but if Sundance wasn't sort of expanding what that could look like, we weren't doing our job in terms of, you know, being on the leading edge of storytelling and technology.